This is the Player One podcast with Josh and Sem, where life is one big game, and we are Player One.
Yeah, we definitely are. And today we are joined by our very first guest, Troy Skidmore, our coach and the owner and founder of Limitless Mixed Martial Arts and Fitness down in Sunbury.
Awesome, guys. Love it. Excited as.
Yeah, this is Kane. So this is Troy's our first coach. He's still my coach as well. He's the one that kicked us off on this martial arts journey. And how long? 4 years?
Yeah.
3 years?
More, 4.5 almost.
Yeah, it's like we're in New York. It was a few years ago now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So just go back in time, you know.
And it's funny because
it's correct. Well, so we've known all three of us have only known each other for 4 years max.
Yeah, 4 years.
All met here.
But we've done things that
we've traveled the world twice together.
Exactly.
Wouldn't have done together even if they've known each other forever. We've trained together, so there's physicality. You win together, you lose together, you prepare, and we've travelled. So yeah, we're super lucky that we grew this kind of connection. Good.
Yeah, well, you gain that closeness through martial arts because you go through those highs and lows together, and you're always challenging. So when you're just a mate with someone, you go to the pub, hang out, talk, watch a movie. That's it.
Yeah.
But when you're friends through martial arts, you know, you'll be doing all different things together. All right, someone's going to step in the ring, so you train with them and build up to that. Or I'm going to go and compete in Sydney for instance, get on the plane together and do that. So you're always sort of pushing each other. Yeah. And I think that's why you sort of go, oh, it's only been 4 years. But if you go back and write down the history of our relationship and seen everything we've done,
much
then you go, that's a lot more than people do in 20 years of being friends with someone.
There are so many shallow, not in a bad way, because those friendships, I'm not talking bad, but so many shallow levels of relationships that you can have with so many people. But in martial arts, you tend to get past that level pretty quickly. Yeah. Because you're doing so many different things.
I think because you go through so many emotions with your partner as well.
That's true.
You know what I mean? One day, you know what, they might drop a knee on your face and you go, oh, and you know they didn't mean it, but you know that if your mate did something to piss you off, sometimes you hold that grudge for months. But with a grudge with jiu-jitsu, it might only last 5 minutes, and you've gone through that emotional journy already, so it's already done with.
That's a good point.
You know, you're constantly getting closer and closer through that way.
And you can constantly belt each other if you need to.
Exactly.
But in a good way. You're not going to actually hurt them.
You make progress together as well. You're doing something physical, and you know you're all getting better at it. So, whereas you might have a friend at work, you're not really making progress. You're just doing your daily work. Yeah. But here you're really building, you're learning, you're sharing knowledge. And
you get comfortable with each other in sharing a mic, for example, or you get comfortable doing little things. I remember one time you said, I don't know what it was something about, I think I wanted to borrow something of yours, like you a drink or whatever the fuck. I don't know what it was.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, is it cool if and you're like, bro, you fucking you bled on me in your fights and shit. Remember when I in my fighting Roots?
I do.
And I was bleeding all over you in the corner and shit. And you're like, bro, I've had your fucking blood all over me on my new Jordans.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's cool if you use this. Like, oh, true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But you also have, after a hard roll on the mat, the conversation you have with someone is a lot more in depth a lot of the time. It's not like, boring chit chat like what's the last movie you saw or whatever. It's always a bit more in depth conversation with the person.
That's true.
During the training, a lot of the social facade is stripped off, mentally. So you're in a different zone. You're being physical. It's almost like following your instincts, trying to attack, trying to hurt, trying to defend. At the same time, but with someone that's your friend. Yeah. So at the end of that, you're much more open. That's why when you're training, you don't think about your other problems. You're just training. People love it for that reason.
Yeah.
But it strips, you're just focusing on the physical aspect, on the learning and whatnot. And at the end of that, you're just much more receptive to conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. Are you like, what's his name? You know Sebastian from Yoga for BJJ? You've been.
Of course, yeah.
He says a lot of things. I've only done a few sessions with you, but he says a lot of things while you're doing yoga to keep in your mind as you're doing it. Like, stop clenching your face, and you're like, oh damn, I'm clenching my face.
Yeah. Don't bite your jaw.
Yeah, all those little things.
You're like, oh, I do that all the time.
And you're like, fuck, I'm actually doing that. Yeah. But then you say that a lot. I don't know if it's since you started doing yoga for BJJ or you just do it anyway. And when you're doing when everyone's doing their warm ups, they're doing their laps around, and you're like, all right, switch off. It's just jiu-jitsu time. Don't think about work. And you're like, oh damn, I am thinking about work right now. And you're like, shit.
Yeah, well, actually, one thing I did get off that Yoga for BJJ, Sebastian goes, you're on the mat now. It's reward time. Reward yourself. So forget about the outside world. Yeah. This is your reward. So it's like, enjoy it. Yeah. So instead of being here, it's a chore with jiu-jitsu. It's also like, you've got here, you've done your day's work. Now reward yourself by immersing yourself in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Don't ruin the reward by thinking about calling work or replying to that email. until after the class, and because otherwise you're not enjoying the reward of a martial art or yoga.
Yeah,
that's awesome, because how often or how many things can you do in this world that you get to engage in something like that, where you're just in a different state? That's why people that are really involved in martial arts are so lucky, because you can almost say that that's why spirituality is also sometimes tied to it, because the way he's describing that is literally how you're supposed to describe yourself when you're praying as a Muslim. So when you're praying, you're not meant to be thinking about anything else. It's also a reward. Any time that you've had any stresses, any problems, whatever, those are gone from your head. Just engage in the ritual, in the movement. And then at the end, you're allowed to bring that back and ask for what you want, ask forgiveness and all those things. And that's exactly the same thing here.
Yeah.
You enter, you're not thinking about anything else. You're just focusing on one certain thing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're getting fitter.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, then you just, it's like a release. You're like, all right, you need that time to let everything go. You can't hold on the whole time.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah. A lot of the time, I don't know where I heard it, but before I train or before I do yoga and that, a big part of the goal is because, me, family man, have a young son, run a business, building another school, and all the other stuff that goes with being a business owner / jiu-jitsu coach. Your mind's turbulent. So I always think about when I'm just about to step on the mat, there's all these things going through my mind of rushing, just think about like an ocean that's all got a lot of waves and it's all gone crazy, and then what I want to try and do when I'm training is just be like a still river, just relax and release. And the same thing with yoga when I'm doing that. I have that stillness in my mind rather than thinking about everything that life brings these days,
I want to just dig into, because you said obviously about business owner. So a lot of people that wouldn't know, like, as we mentioned at the start, Troy owns Limitless, which is where we are at the moment. And when I was running to get the mics, I thought of a question that I would ask, which is, so you took charge of your life and are living a life by design at the moment, because you've envisioned this. You've talked to us about the new gym that's opening and those things, and it's all happened. I go, what are 3 major things which helped you to achieve that? In terms of like, anyone who's listening could like take those 3 little things as like a gem that you can pass on.
I think for me, things started to come into place when I had a clear vision of what I wanted. You know what I mean? So I had to find exactly what I wanted, because through life, for me, I had different visions when I grow up. You know what I mean? Previous to jiu-jitsu, I was very successful with racing motorbikes, and then in between opening Limitless, I had another construction company that was going really well that I owned as well, and all that stuff. But I wasn't really sure what the end result was. What did I actually want to do with day-to-day life? And it didn't become clear until I went. One day I had the thought of being a jiu-jitsu coach, because I was already competing and stuff like that. And then I said to my coach, Dave, I'd love to open a school one day. And the second he said to me, why don't you, an academy, why don't you? I'm like, so I can? Like, that was it. And then because you have someone who you respect and you've listened to for many years, you just go, all right, well, if he thinks I can, I probably can, So then I just started writing down what I wanted to do in my martial arts school and with my different aspects of what I can give to jiu-jitsu for my students and stuff like that. Started cutting out little, clippings, or took timetables from all the gyms that I've trained at all over the world and put it together in a book. And then I started to piece it together and step-by-step plan of how to make it all happen. And that's what was with Limitless. And the same thing, which I built my own home. And it's a decent sort of nicer place. And that wasn't it was just on paper at the start too. You know what I mean? I started to draw it. Then I started to get clippings from architectural magazines and put it all together on the thing, on a plan, and then start to build the house. So everything, I think you need to have that vision of what you want exactly, and then start to head for that direction. And then every decision you make leads you down the right path to what the end goal is. But if you don't have a clear vision, so if someone goes, I don't really know what I want in life, I don't really know what I'm going to do. Well, it's like, you're never going to just walk across and go, that job fell on my lap, and that wife come to me, and then that house just, I ended up owning it. Like, you can't just expect it just to happen. You've got to know what you want and go get it,
Because if you don't go out and act and try and get it, then other shit's just going to happen to you, and you're just going to have to accept what comes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you're going to complain about it later, but you have to make that decision.
Then you're not in control of your life. You're like you're just going down a turbulent river, just bouncing along the sides, and wherever you end up.
Or you could. That's exactly the best way to put it. Yeah. You're not in control. Otherwise, you're just not in control. There's no goals. You're just moving around, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, you're not being active. You're being reactive to life.
Yes. Exactly.
That's true. Oh, that's a good idea. My mate just called me and said, "Let's go and do this." Oh yeah, cool. Oh, then this guy come up to me and offered me a little bit more money for my job. So yeah, I'm going to go and work for him.
Yeah.
And then, they wanted me to work this Sunday all weekend and you're going to get paid this money. And it's like, that's all good, but you're just being reactive to what's coming up. If you have a clear vision of what you want to be, and then that same person comes up and goes to you, I've got this job for you want it, but it doesn't work for what your end goal in life is, well then you don't take that job because it's going to take you away from your real want is. And then if you're going to work on those weekends, which I did plenty of, don't worry, but it might take you away from jiu-jitsu competition or whatever your goal is, then you have to say no to that work. Otherwise, you're just being reactive to life again.
You can get your values mixed up in that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Thinking that
the money's the demon of that one.
Yeah, because you're like, Sunday work, Saturday work, 150 to 300, 400 bucks extra.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. That's more important than this. But this little small jiu-jitsu competition that's in line with your passion and your vision, it's more important that you engage in that, because that's what's going to bring you closer to the vision. The vision that you want, and build the character who you're becoming. And you, as Rogan says in your life story, build that character. Yeah.
What would that person do in the movie? There's probably people rolling their eyes when they listen to this shit. It just sounds like you're just like saying all these sayings that you've seen on YouTube or whatever. But a lot of them have got some legit depth to it. And I think the people who are saying it actually mean it a lot of the time.
So that's a good point. So when you're talking about that, you've got to focus on what your passion is and what you want and go get it from there. But I think maybe a lot of people are struggling to find what their real passion and their vision is, and how you reckon best is to find that. Because how and when did you finally decide, after training jiu-jitsu for almost 10 years, to be like, okay, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, okay. Well, jiu-jitsu for me, it was just something I stumbled across, right? So it wasn't like, I always did a little bit of martial arts as a kid and boxing and all that sort of stuff. But it was just more like, martial arts are cool and it's nice to know how to handle yourself a little bit. But it wasn't like, I never thought that I would ever make a living from a martial art when I was young. But that was probably the distraction of other interests and stuff like that. But then I was training, I was getting over a major injury from the last motocross injury I had. And so I was at a gym, just doing weights, legs, whatever, trying to get strong and doing a bit of boxing. And then that boxing coach said, the best martial art to ever learn is grappling. I think that's actually what he called it, just grappling, not jiu-jitsu. And then he goes, there's this new school opened up, not far from where we both lived. And he goes, it's just in a garage. And this coach is amazing. He's amazing. We're so lucky to have him. So we went to this garage and trained jiu-jitsu. And I got, it was a very young school, so it was mainly white belts and him. And that coach, Peter, he was a blue belt and he was an older guy. But it was just amazing because he knew how to do an armbar and a cross choke, Yeah. And then he showed me it, and I'm like, fuck. And he goes, try and stop it now. And obviously you can't when you don't know how to stop it. Yeah. And then I thought, well, all right. I go, what do I need? And he goes, just rock up every day and just buy this gi. It was like $90 or whatever they were back then. And then I bought the gi and I was thinking, shit, like I'm having almost as much fun as I am on a motorbike, and it's cost me $90, and I can do it every day, and it's healthy for you. And then started to find that you didn't need anything else except to just the ability to want to learn, this art. So then it just became a super obsession hobby, So obviously always loved it, but then you'd never, there was no one really making a living that I knew in Australia from jiu-jitsu, because no one else really did it. It wasn't a big popular sport like now. It's all like, obviously everything like podcasts.
Back then no one really knew about it. It was very niche.
You tell someone I'm doing jiu-jitsu, oh, you like karate. Of course. It's exactly the same. In some guy's garage. Oh, do you wear like those karate suits? Yeah, we do. We wear gis, It's karate,
But it's like how you said you went there and then just this regular blue belt, that middle-aged bloke, and you don't know what to do, because people don't understand, if you don't know what's going on, you just... you're kind of helpless. If you don't know what's going on and someone does, especially blue belt to no experience.
And like
such an eye opener.
Super respect for the blue belts back in the day, but they are nothing like the blue belts today either. So it would have been literally like probably a 2 or 3 stripe white belt showing you a cross choke, and that's what just blew me away. But then So it was never like you could imagine once learning that, I want to do this for a career. There was not that. No one was doing it, you know. And then, but the passion was there. And then I think I just, knowing that when I eventually was at Dominance and my coach Dave said, he's making, a living from it and everything's comfortable. I thought, wow, like people can do this. But even then I was still only skeptical. A blue belt or whatever, or purple belt, and it's like, whatever. But then just what martial arts does, it makes you step out of your comfort zone, compete more, competed a few times overseas, and started to get okay at jiu-jitsu. And then as a brown belt or purple belt, Dave said, why don't you open that school? It was just like a trigger. And it was like, man,
why not? Yeah.
And then I just thought, imagine not having to get up to an alarm clock and just doing jiu-jitsu,
And like you just said, because you said that you asked Dave, someone you respect and whatnot, and he gives you an opinion, and that kind of opens up to you that, hey, you know what, this is true. And that's exactly what you did for me. A lot of the things that I'm doing now, like very, very early stage MMA, I attribute to Limitless and to Troy, because for people that don't know, and this isn't me trying to suck him off here. I'm just. I was not gonna say. I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm literally just like spitting facts. So if I didn't run into this place, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Like I was gonna study, be a lawyer, finish this degree, do my Juris Doctor, and this and that 7-year study, and then I was playing soccer NPL. Meantime, I just stroll in here with a burger, and then I just jump in. Just taking the piss. I just wanted to give it a shot, and then you run into, it's the kind of people you run into, because I know for a fact if I ran into any other gym, different thing could have happened. Yeah. But just it was like a perfect stage at Limitless as well. Like, just jumped in, started chatting, learning. I got choked exactly with what I got choked with was 2 fingers in the knuckles in.
Was that Josh Neville?
No. Other ones.
He won't mind if we say it was Sturma.
Oh really?
Sturma. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, bang, and I was like, oh, geez, what the hell is that? And I was like, so I was trying it on the next person, which was Vince. And then he goes to me, no, don't do it. Don't do that. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was my introduction. And I was like, this shit's ridiculous. And then I just kept doing it, training. A few weeks later, this is what I mean by having the right person. I go to Troy. Oh, no, he said there's a competition coming up. And I was like a bit nervous to ask. And I was like, I'll ask. Oh, do you reckon I should like jump in, give it a crack? He's like, yeah, 100% jump in, give it a crack.
Which was the other reason I was... did that too, because I know that I competed only after a month or two of training, and I thought it was really good just to go, this is what it's about, this is what it's for, you know what I mean, this is why you're on the mat doing it. If you want to do this, you can, and it gives you that bit of drive. But
there are so many little moments that you don't know how they contribute to anything, but when I thought back a few times, I'm like, all these things are things that I thought on. I'm like, okay, that making me compete straight away and then have a little bit of success in competing, but also get the fear part out the way, made me not really stress about competing ever again, because I was like, that's all it is. Like, you jump in and there you go, you have a crack. And then kept training, and then we did this, then we did some Muay Thai into clubs, and before you know it, I had the first amateur. And it was a guy who was a bit bigger, a little bit more experienced, but we're like, yep, we can do it. And as I'm upstairs walking, I remember thinking to myself, like, holy shit, I'm about to have an amateur MMA fight. I'm like, I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, not doubt, but you're just thinking back, like, I knew nothing at all, and now I'm about to do this. Like, that was a big step.
Yeah.
And then Troy was just in my ear, and Troy was like, Sem, this is exactly what you wanted to do. It's exactly what you're made to do, and here you are doing it. Yeah. He's like, you can 100% beat this guy and every other guy that comes your way. He's like, you've done the work, that's it. And all these things, I was like, you know what? This is so true. And it just put that confidence in me. Yeah. And then I just run in there, and I'm like, that's it. And ever since then, I've carried that confidence through every other fight, because I'm like, I really can do this. Because Troy made me, he's like, you really can. You have the attributes. You just got to put in the work and stay on the path, not to get distracted. I'm like, fuck, you can really do this. It's a big
thing, isn't it? I think a lot of people just think that they think that other people they've got it and they've got it all now. Yeah. Like, damn, that's so hard to do. How's he got it all? But I mean, or sometimes all you need is one person that you respect enough to say you can do this, and then you're like, oh, I really can. I just got to start. Yeah. And then you slowly snowballs, and then next minute you're a purple belt, next minute you've got your own gym, and next minute you expand. You know what I mean? It just goes from there and there.
It does.
Crazy.
If you take that first step into it. And I think that's a big thing with going into your passion is everyone kind of knows a little bit about what they already like. You already sort of know something that you like. Yeah. But it's just another step to take, to dive in a little bit deeper, see if you really like it. and see if maybe you really like it. All right, start getting more professional at it and become a professional. You can become a professional in anything.
Immerse yourself in it, because for me, I had so many things holding me back on it that I was trying to like work more as well, get more money. Then uni, I'm trying to do full-time uni, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna knuckle down, and that was the year I did it. And then uni kind of went a bit downhill. But I was like,
but that's
I don't
okay,
care,
though.
because that's okay. Uni, I can always come back and do. The brain will be sharper, but the body won't be as sharp for as long. And I'm like, I dived in, and damn, I'm just like, that's it. Just got to keep doing it, because like you said, you have to engage in that passion. You can't be like, this is more important though. I got to balance out, and like you have to really just go for it.
And it makes, I think it makes life a bit less stressful, because then you go, it's sort of like every decision's easier to make, because you just go, oh, okay, where am I trying to get in life? Oh yeah, well obviously that's the right decision to do, and less contemplating and more just going, if you've got that clear vision, So you don't need a vision board or anything silly like that, but it can, if that's what works for you, whatever works. But for me, it's always just in my head like that clear.
Just run every decision through that exact meter.
What's taken that path there?
That's it. Whichever decision brings you closer there, bang.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why even with me, with the training and my goals for me as a jiu-jitsu athlete. So like it's this morning, get up and go for a run. You know what I mean? What do I eat today? I've got to get back down to middleweight or whatever it is. It's just like, and it just because you've got that vision of what you want to be, and
you build such a good lifestyle like that, because everything that you're doing now is helped by what you've aimed to try to do now. It would be hard for you to wake up and jog when you were working as a
exactly
and everything. But when you decided to do more and more, that creates that thing, and then you become that. Then you do those things, because now you're that person that in that position.
This is the character I am in my movie,
and that's what me and Josh talk about with the Player One podcast, because it's the same concept as a character in a movie, or being, if this is simulation theory, we talked to you about it. So if this is a game, or this is a simulation, just go in as if you're player one, as if you're the guy in the controller, and that's it. You're the player one.
What do you want your character to look like? What attributes? And that's a good way of putting it. If you get real clear on what it is that you want and what you want to do, then everything bases around that, and then it's much more simple, and you've got a clear path, and you're like, all right, this is what my player does. If he's going to be a warrior, a fighter, okay, what's he going to eat? He has to eat this. How's he going to work out? How's he going to train? What's he doing in his social life? It becomes more clear and easy.
And that character then, if you're constantly being that character, it makes you more of a genuine person as well. Exactly. And then people are attracted to that as well. So you find yourself you're engaging more with more like-minded people as well. Because you aren't fake. 1 minute you're not doing this, and then you're doing that. You've got that clear person. You're that dude, and they know who they're dealing with. You know what I mean? And so that's been he's a real genuine person. Because he knows what he wants, and he knows who he is.
Like the times I've felt the most genuine, because I had that same paradox of being like, which is the real version of yourself? Like the person at work, the person here, the person with your family. The times I felt most just comfortable is when I'm in any gym training. That's when I'm just feeling like, all right, this is it. This is exactly who I am right now. I'm not putting anything on. I'm just doing
this
myself.
And that's your art, and that's you're displaying that art, in the way you move and what you're doing on the mat, how you hold yourself on the mat, and all those things, and that's what you've worked on, and that's who you are.
So that should be like a little red flag if you find yourself in a sort of situation or surrounding where you don't feel the most you. If you feel like really uncomfortable, you don't like who you're hanging around
putting
with,
on a certain facade constantly.
I think if you feel that, all right, you're not in the right place. You need to change it.
Could be temporary, but you have to know that you can't be there forever.
Growing up where we are now, like Sunbury, a lot of my mates, the weekend was all about, let's party, and it's I suppose that's like everywhere. And I do love party. Like if I go, all right, I reward myself with a party. I can party, right? But when I feel like I haven't earned the party, and then with hanging out with a lot of my mates, and I still care about them a lot. Like your reward is to party, and then to party again, and then party again, and do nothing in between. And if I tried to do that with them just to sort of fit in and feel good, but always in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is not right, this is not who I am. I'll have to make up for this and do extra training and for whatever I was back then training for. And
like you
didn't
said,
sit right,
If you run every decision through that same film, that same screen of what's contributing to your goals, then your decision will be the right one. Because it's like party, No, I can't right now because that won't make me closer to this. Or maybe, you know what, I've worked super hard. This is the reward for de-stress. Okay. When you run it through that screen, it makes things easier.
For sure.
Now, I was going to say also, because you just got back from, where'd you come from? Vietnam.
What, did you say Italy?
I was going to say Indonesia.
Indonesia, a little bit further up,
But so you came back from Vietnam, and like, people probably wouldn't know, but people that are close to Troy, if we've traveled with him, and he doesn't stop chatting about the monuments, ancient monuments, all sorts of like 8 wonders of the world and whatnot. Like I was on the plane with him to New York, Josh was as well, and he was just chatting to us, showing me the book. So that was a massive opportunity for you to go over there and see one of those monuments. To just tell us about it.
So stone monuments, it's nice to have something that's not fitness, jiu-jitsu orientated at all, or business orientated. I thought I needed like another passion outside besides always just constantly thinking about a couple of the same subjects. So just started to, diving into, watching YouTube videos and that on stone monuments. Always a big fan of Indiana Jones as a kid and all that. And some of that mysterious sort of ancient alien sort of stuff, those shows like that, well, we've all watched and they're very entertaining. And then this passion for old stone monuments and buildings, pyramids, whatever, just kept growing on me, because I was just like, how do they move these stones? Because being in construction, through my teen years and early 20s, it's like, I know how much it takes to build a nice house or whatever. It's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of different people to contribute together. The people who make the wood, who make the paint, and the tools. Yeah, we've got electricity and power tools, blah, blah, blah. And then just to see these monuments of stone, which aren't really like fundamentally useful. A lot of them are just, obviously for spiritual reasons or whatever, you know what I mean? So the amount of effort they did to build that, obviously everyone knows the story. We still don't know today how they built the pyramids or how they moved, the biggest stones in the world in Lebanon, and put, pyramids and stuff on top of things like that. It's like, how?
And why?
And why?
Who does these things?
That's a big question. Why? Why did they do it?
Why?
And why don't we do it anymore? Why don't we put that much effort into our architecture?
Well, even, over the last few hundred years, even our churches have gone from grand, amazing blue stone, all this. Now it's church. Now they just knock one up out of brick, and and that's all fine. But the effort's a lot less, So. Went over to Vietnam, and there's a site over there called My San, or My Son, the way we would read it. And I knew it's a very special site over there because it is, 1800, 1500 years old. So, Angkor Wat's 700, 800 years old. So it's a lot more weathered, and beat up, and it's not as spectacular as somewhere like Angkor Wat, which I haven't been to yet. So I thought I'd start with going out to check out these ruins, and Vietnam wasn't too hard to get to, so went and booked a holiday over there with my wife and son. And my main objective to go over there was obviously relax, but to see the ruins. And
let me say that my main objective as well.
Man, it blew me away. Just real brief, these ruins, as I said, like 1500 years old. They're made of brick, mainly, not stone, where a lot of this, everything else is made from stone, which you might think, brick, is that as impressive? Well, it isn't if it was 30 years old, but to make bricks last hundreds of years, thousands of years, we don't know how to do that. So we actually don't know the technology that they had to build these brick pyramids. The stones, they still look perfect. There's no moss on them, no nothing, and all the bricks today that we use, they hold water and they don't let the water come out, so that's why eventually they do deteriorate.
And there's also mortar.
There is no mortar either. They're just literally bricks stacked on top of each other. So to lay a brick wall with mortar, it's a skill. It's a trade, To do it without mortar, it's just how. And then if we did that, if we put some bricks in the ground in 30 years, they're just going to be falling over. They built like pyramids 30 meters high out of bricks, just all stacked.
And they're still pretty structural.
And they're all pretty good. The only reason they're damaged now because Vietnam War, they were bombed. But I think apparently the Viet Cons were hanging out in them, and they just literally flattened it. And it was another spin out to see what a bomb drop from a plane can actually do to the Earth. Let alone, like the holes are 40 plus years ago. They're like dams. They're just from one bomb.
Really? Wow.
So
there's a documentary came out on the H bomb.
They just literally just They called it carpet bombed the whole site. And the pyramids that today, you can see some that have been hit and they've just been exploded, but the ones that luckily survived out of the 70, there's still 20 that you can tell, and probably only about 4 that are really still in okay condition. And it's only because of the bombing, but we could not. I don't think we could do it. Well, we definitely couldn't do the bricks. We still don't know how to make the bricks to last like they have. We maybe would have the engineering and that to be able to stack them the way they've stacked them into like the big towers like they've got. But I just.
So if you could go to visit two more, like only two more
ancient sites,
which would it be?
Shit.
Which would it be?
Has to be the
only
pyramids.
2 more.
Yeah, you'd have
Pyramids
to go.
have to be
Obviously,
100%.
The pyramids, again, like what were they made for? They're not a tomb. I don't think they're a tomb. They say they are, but I don't.
Have
think
you heard the theory that they were conductors?
For electricity?
Yeah.
Of course, man.
I know.
The one that works for me, I'm going to get off the subject if I go too much, but the one that works for me, why the main pyramid, I have no idea. I haven't even been there, right? But what works, it doesn't look like every other tomb or tower. They're all pretty. They've all got paintings and nice stuff all around them. But the pyramids more look like a machine. There's a purpose for it, in my opinion.
And they line up somehow.
They line up with the stars of Orion's belt. So there's a couple of chambers or chutes going out, and one of the king's chambers got the tomb in the middle, and I reckon you would lay the dead body or whatever in there, and they'd do like a ritual, and the soul would shoot up through to Orion's belt out of the ritual. But it points straight to Orion's belt. And that's what I thought it was. That's what I think it is. I have no idea. And I've watched all shitty YouTube videos and everyone's theory, and that's the one where I'm like, okay, if I had to go, all right, put 100 grand on one and find out the truth, I think that would probably work the best.
So, if you could travel back in time to only one.
One.
Well,
what about
would it be?
You've only asked for one site. Let me tell you.
All right, what's the second site?
Machu Picchu, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the top of the Andes Mountains.
Machu Picchu.
That looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I've seen the photos.
Yeah, it's just up in the basically it was lost for hundreds of years. I think they found that it's basically on the top of a mountain. To get up there, you have to be a pretty fit person to get up there and hike up there with obviously people carrying your stuff. Like it's a massive thing. People have to leave because they get sick up there straight away at the altitude.
It'd be good.
But there's an amazing site up there.
Yeah.
I've got a big picture on the wall at home, and it looks like literally get a pointy mountain, peaks right up the top, all around it, all pointy mountains. To me, and again, this is just my brain, looks like they've chopped the top of the mountain off and built a city on top. Because it's the only part of it's a big flat plain. Everywhere else is peak, and then it's amazing stonework up there too. So that'd be the two.
Wait, so is what is it, Atlantis?
City Atlantis, yeah.
Atlantic City or something? Yeah.
Oh, Atlantic City or Atlantis, the one that sunk?
Atlantis, yeah. Is that
it's sunk.
the one that sunk?
Yeah.
Is that an actual site or is that a myth?
It's a myth. At the moment.
Oh,
yeah.
what?
But they think they know where it is, but who knows?
Yeah, because they always say they've got ruins.
The ocean is so gigantic.
But it's deeper nowadays too.
Exactly.
You would never. You're not able to explore it at our current level of technology. Like
civilisations, they keep dating them back further and further. Like they're saying now that the Australian Aboriginal were here for 40, 50 plus thousand years, 100. So 50,000 years at least. They've got evidence of sites and all that sort of stuff. So with the paintings,
is this Graham Hancock was saying?
No. This is just known. This is just like true.
Yeah.
So if we go back tens of thousands of years in Australia, how many tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of years have humans actually been around? And then a cataclysm comes, an asteroid hits or whatever, and then we go back to the ice age again. And all when the globe heats up, the ice caps melt, the seas rise, and that's where Atlantis could be hidden under.
I was about to mention in terms of sea levels rising and falling. So when I was just in Sorrento, I went down behind Cape Shank Lighthouse to the rock pools, and I was rock climbing up there. It was a funny rock climb because I almost actually died. But anyway, I climbed up. And as you climb up, I'm finding salt on the walls. Salt deposits. And I was just taking them off. I was like tasting them, and it was tasted like salt. I was like, is this quartz? And I was like, it's 100% salt. I just tucked it away in my shorts, my MA1 shorts, tucked it away. And I just kept climbing up. And then you see that there's like still little, there's a bunch of soil in one part of the rock. And along that soil is just like a bunch of seashells like broken off. And you know that the water was this high.
That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, even that to be.
And then I look at the rock behind me, and I'm like, this whole thing was covered with water. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sea levels have rose, who knows how many meters over time, you know what I mean, since we've been around. But there's, you know, in deserts there's, you know, sea life shells and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
The Earth's alive, man. Everything's moving, and
true.
you can't control what's happening.
Something that gives you perspective on time when you mentioned about civilization and the time of it. So there was one thing I saw, one comparison of human civilization to the age of the Earth in a clock, in a 24-hour clock.
Yeah.
And it's something like 1 second.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it 1 second or 1 minute? Something ridiculous.
Crazy like that.
And you go, that is so insignificant. Like, there are so many more things, and that's why no one can say they know completely or don't know completely about things that happened in the past. Because how far back can we look? Not 4.8 billion years ago.
Yeah.
Which is the age of
4.2.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We can look back only like when were dinosaurs dated back to?
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Well, they're 65 plus million years ago.
Yeah. Wow. See, that's ridiculous. That is even
so.
small compared to the
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think that's where they ended.
Yeah.
So, and then dinosaurs were around a lot longer than us.
Yeah.
They've been around. They lived for hundreds of millions of years.
Sturdy.
Yeah.
Damn,
so
that's so weird.
Yeah. Dinosaurs had this way more sorted than us. Yeah. Well, they were here a lot longer.
That's why all the current dinosaurs that you tell people with like alligators and sharks are the two oldest like creatures.
Yeah.
You look at them and you go, those are sturdy. Those things can fucking survive.
Yeah, and they're probably
an alligator, that shit's retarded.
They're probably going to see all the computer simulations that the alligators just be like, out of the fucking,
next.
You know, they're at it again. Another war, they're at it again. Yeah. Next generation of whatever it is coming through. Next species coming through. Oh, aliens. Oh yeah, saw you a while ago. These have been gone a while.
That's why no one can say aliens do or do not exist.
What you mean, intelligent life?
Yeah,
aliens.
Intelligent life. Because I want you to say yes.
What's the difference? What's the difference between intelligent life and
well, okay. Let's say there's a worm on Mars,
which they've found bacteria, haven't
that's
they?
Not intelligent.
Oh,
that just does a thing.
But that's alien, right?
Yeah, well, it's an alien species. It's not on Earth.
It's not from Earth.
So and you would say an alien is any living species from another planet outside of Earth.
Yeah.
And intelligent life, you're saying something that's self-aware.
Yeah.
Obviously has a means to space travel, whatever.
Yeah.
To us. Okay, yeah.
So, is there other?
So, is there other life on other planets?
It has to be.
I think so.
Has to be with all the stars. We've got one star.
And with how little we have actually explored,
it's
like, how can you know? How can you say anyone that comes and says completely no? How can you even know?
I think actually
you don't have the tools to even check the whole thing.
I think they've done mathematical equations on how many stars they assume there is, to how many planets they would assume there is, to then what we actually need to have life, and it'd be more unusual if there wasn't. You know what I mean? Because there's so many opportunities for a sun and an Earth to happen again. Like, I know it's a miracle that this one happened, but because there's so many billions of who knows whatever stars, more often than not, one again would have got it right, where there was water, Earth, sun, or star spinning.
So in terms
around.
of probability, there's a higher probability
mathematically.
Yeah. What's that? That's a complete category of maths.
Yeah, probability. Yeah,
because that's what. Is it Neil or Nick Bostrom?
Nick Bostrom.
Nick Bostrom. That's what he goes on the Joe Rogan podcast, because Nick Bostrom's famous for the simulation theory. And then remember Joe tried to say, and I thought about it too, because Nick Bostrom has his own 3 precedents for why it's possible that we're living in a simulation. And Joe said, isn't there a fourth? The fourth being that this is the very first time in human civilization that we're about to create a simulation.
Yeah. So this is base reality.
So meaning this is base reality, there is no simulation outside, and we're going to create the first one. And he said, based on the math of probability, and this is his own scientist, he said it's almost impossible because of the math is so unlikely.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the same math he used to determine that we're probably in a simulation compared to the chance of life being on other planets, which is a fucking crazy thought if you really think about that.
It's ridiculous.
But then that's also an exciting one, because it's like, all right, well, if I'm aware of that this is a real thing, how much further can I take it, and what can I really do if it's just a game? I can do anything if it's a game.
The reason why me and Josh even talk about the, like, because you know me and Josh for a bit, so you know how we are. The reason why we even are talking about this is because not like we're the most organised, the most switched on, got everything going 100% right. No. It's just because.
But that's why things work so well.
That's why things work well, because we think about it and we say, hey, if things war a game or a simulation, or if they want, if I treat it as if it is, there's more benefit for me either way. So being unorganized, not knowing how to build a stall, let's say we just say, okay, that's a skill set I need. Let me get the mics going.
But we're still doing it.
It's like, it works. We just figure it out. We say, okay, so what would I need to acquire this thing? What would I need to accomplish a certain thing? So in terms of fighting, like I've said to Josh many times, I break down myself as a fighter as if it's a game character. So I'll look at what are my attributes? Okay, distance management is good. Dealing with when things are close, okay, you need to work there. Okay, so what do you need to work? You need to acquire certain skills. So I'll do my research. I'll watch boxing, I'll watch jiu-jitsu, whatnot. You have options for the takedown. You have options for a check left hook, check right hook, angle off and move. All right, I've acquired those. I've got those things. Now how do I acquire them? Start practicing. That's why I do my repetitions of the bag. Practice the same move you're trying to learn. Practice it over and over again. Then you apply it in a light sparring situation. Then you apply it on a lower level person. These are things that we've talked about ourselves in the past. Then you apply it on different levels, and then eventually you try and apply it on the main stage. You try and apply it in hard sparring days, and then you give it a crack. And then I just go back to what else does he need? You can look at yourself outside of fighting, your personality, your whole persona as a character. What do I have? Okay, good focus, bad focus. Discipline, lack of discipline. Am I already strong? Am I fit? Am I not? Then you can just select which things you need. All right, how do I improve in a certain area? Mental health. Do some research, try and acquire those tools. Figure things out. It's a framework. That's why when me and Josh espouse this to people, it's not as like a brand new religion you got to jump on. It's just try and apply this concept to yourself and see how it benefits you. Because it's not like there's no negative to it.
And if you change if you just change the terminology into however fits best for you, all we're really talking about is self-awareness.
Yeah.
Being aware of yourself enough. And this goes back to what you were saying before. Be aware of yourself enough to know who you are, your strengths and weaknesses, what you like, what you don't, and apply yourself accordingly, you know? And I think you're going to enjoy life a lot more if you do.
Yeah.
And if you think it's just a game, I mean, everything's a bit more fun. Because, I mean, how can you be upset, bro? It's just a game. Don't cry, it's just a game, you know?
Yeah. Like you've done, you've injured your knee, it's just a game. Time to heal the character and move on to the next.
I better clear that up, actually, because I had a lot of questions come through the last few weeks about my surgery. So our last episode we did was about a week before surgery, something like that. And then I got surgery on Christmas Eve. I stayed in hospital for 24 hours, came out, and it was all good. They cut the tumor out of my bone. They also cut like 6 inches of my fibula out. So my legs, it feels a little bit mutilated. It doesn't feel like my leg anymore. It's a bit weird. But yeah, so I don't have cancer. All it was a pre-cancerous tumor. So it just means it's a giant cell tumor. So it means it's aggressive, it wants to grow and spread, and it has the capabilities of becoming cancerous. Mine wasn't yet cancerous. So they've removed as much as they can, but for the next 5 years, I have to keep going back to hospital 2 or 3 times a year, and they keep checking you. They keep checking my leg, they keep checking my heart, which obviously if you see my post that I put on the other day, I've got to do a little bit more with my heart, and my brain. So they keep checking those 3 things just to make sure that it doesn't spread, because if they miss the one little cell, it just grows again, and the same thing happens. So you keep getting checked for 5 years to make sure you're cleared. So after 5 years, I should be cleared. But yeah, otherwise I'm pretty good with walking. I'm not fully 100%, but I can walk a little bit. I mean, this has only been not even 2 weeks yet. So I've got off I've probably got off the luckiest I think that you can from when this happened, because I had a guy across from me, because when you get the surgery, you have to stay in the sarcoma clinic in the hospital, which is all your cancer and tumor patients. And I shared a room with 4 other people, and the guy across from me, we must have went in for surgery at the same time, because when we're in the beds, I'm looking across, he's got 2 legs. I come back out of surgery and he's got 1 leg. They chopped him from the knee down.
Insane.
And because
thinking how to deal with something like that.
And like that could have been me in that bed, you know. Like, it could have been me so easily if it spread the wrong way. They could have taken my leg as well, you know. So
give you a big contrast on life, real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Black and white.
That's
what's
it.
really could really happen to people, and you know.
It's a good wake up call. That's why it's 100%. Always good to like part of my culture is to always like visit to old homes and also visit people in the hospital.
Yeah.
Why? for them and also for you, so you gain perspective on things.
Yeah.
You go, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And also visiting the graveyard.
Yeah.
Like constant reminder that this is finite.
Yeah.
And anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
So why not
Anything
go
can
for
change
what
like
you
this.
what you
Yes,
want?
yes.
If anything can just change in a heartbeat,
Exactly.
would you want things to change when you're pursuing what you love, or want things to change
Yeah.
when you're just doing something you don't want to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I think people who live a life, of their own design and, doing things they enjoy most of their life, they're not going to lie on their deathbed when they're sick, tell their kids that, I shouldn't have done so much jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? You would be more so inclined to say, I shouldn't have spent so many years sitting at that office
So it's all going to end.
making money.
It's all going to end eventually, isn't it? So
That's
it's
it.
like,
That's true.
what do you want to be doing?
Who do you want to become?
100%.
What character you want to be?
And you've got to do it now.
What do you want to leave?
Yes.
Do you want to leave a legacy of some sort, or do you want to impact people?
That's why.
Those are the huge ones.
Do you think you'll ever write a book? I think you should. I would support you in that.
Well, yeah, you can write books or you can go on podcasts.
Yeah.
I think the same thing happens.
I've thought doing notes just for my own enjoyment as well, but not the 38-year-old me, but maybe the 68-year-old me.
Yeah.
I might want to write something.
Can you
like
tell
that,
him about the Stephen Hawking's book that you read and what he said on it?
So what he says on the topic.
Yeah.
It's. I can look it up right now. Stephen Hawking's last book. We talked about this before on the last one, but
Worth going over.
The idea of it is just basically that he says about spreading the seed of knowledge. So Stephen Hawking's Brief Answers to the Big Questions is his last book. And basically there's this one chapter where he says about, obviously he's one of the greatest minds we've ever known, and his thoughts on black holes and most of his research, most of what we know about a black hole is because of Stephen Hawking. Mm-hmm. That was just his thing. So if he never spreaded that seed of knowledge, we would never know. And he says there's two best ways of spreading that seed of knowledge. One is through your DNA, so to have kids, but you're not going to affect that many people. What if you had an outlier of a son and you didn't follow the pursuit, and then maybe he dies off or whatever happens? You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. It doesn't get to spread the knowledge. Yeah. He said the best way to spread the seed of knowledge is through books or podcasts electrically.
Yeah.
So
something where it can be.
Spread it, you can affect hundreds of thousands, millions of people, and now this idea travels through time indefinitely.
And you know what's a great example of that we've all actually engaged in this sort of philosophy of Stoicism? That's exactly what they've done. People that I don't know what time frame were, but they were quite a while ago. But everyone has made an effort or an attempt to leave something behind to like capture, because the knowledge is here, but you can pass on through stories like gypsies, or you can write it down like many other civilizations have done. And everyone does it because people today, like Stoicism has had a massive increase in people engaging in it and knowing about it. And these are people that thought about these things and just wrote these things down way back. Yeah. And look at how it's helping people today. Yeah. You can really have an impact like that.
I suppose another way to get that out there too, your legacy out there, is to through your knowledge and the effort you give to your friends and say your students, then your legacy will filter through them. So the person you were, that your mindsets, and you help encourage, especially like a younger generation, your mindsets and traits that filters into them, and that's your legacy left in them, the way to think and the way to approach life.
That's so true. Yeah. Think about all the older people because me and Josh talk a lot about respect for elders and whatnot, and why it's so prevalent in many cultures, especially like some cultures I'm involved in. Yeah. Because people that are older than you have done things that you've already done. No, they've done things that you are going to do. And things that you might think, this is a problem. Like, they've had their problems, they've had their shit situations. Like, so they deserve a certain level of respect. And whenever you talk to anyone, or when you think about yourself today, you think about the people like Dave or anyone else that you've spoken to that has had an impact on you. That's also part of their legacy. Yeah. Whether it be your dad, your friend, an uncle, they've all impacted you, and then you've passed it to someone else. They passed, like, that's all part of.
So that's I suppose that's, and especially if you're in the front of a school and a student base daily, then that legacy is getting put through them on a hyperdrive. It's not just one or two people. It's everyone, tens or maybe hundreds of people. If you
more, you think about generations.
And then that threads through generations.
Wow.
So then you think, well, me getting the most out of myself, which then if you're standing in front of that class, that means that legacy is getting projected better and and it'll help them more, and it'll go even deeper in. So then it makes you really motivated to be the best you, the most genuine you.
True. You think
so
about
get up
it,
and do that run that I did on the Sunday. Lift those weights, do those dips, do whatever you have to do. So then on Monday, or when you're teaching a class, or if you've done extra jiu-jitsu study, that you know, giving back to your students that legacy, which will impact them more and last longer as well. And so that's a very big motivator to be your best.
Wow,
that's true.
That can be seen everywhere. Like I can think of so many examples of.
I always love that. I don't know if it's a quote, but I remember you told it to me about potential, how a flower must grow.
Yeah, so it says like everything in this existence will reach for its full potential. So how tall will a tree grow? It'll grow as tall as it can grow.
Yeah.
Whatever its circumstance, it'll grow as tall as it's not going to stop halfway or decide, because none of them have the ability to choose, but we do.
Yeah.
We have the ability to choose whether or not we want to stop, grow, be less. Choice is what determines our potential for us. But many other things, they don't have the ability to choose, therefore they just will always aspire to reach, and we should be like that as well. We're like, you know what? How tall can I get to? Where can I get to? Let me go as far as I can go. Be as best as I can be. Whoever I can become, let me try it.
Because it's so easy to rock up, go through the motions and go home.
Stock standard,
what do you know, with everything that you do. So what are you getting out of it? And it's real hard to do that extra 20% to be your 100% at all times.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do that. But once you feel comfortable enough to be like, this is what I want and this is what I want to do, then why not be 100% in it? I mean, especially if you think about another finite lifespan, if you're only going to be here for a very short amount of time, why not give your 100% and then you'll feel so much better when it's time to go, you know?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be like on your way out and you're like, wow, I had so much more to give. And it's not, it's just left with
like
me.
you said, what are you going to be thinking about at 68? Like, oh, I should have maybe stuck to that jiu-jitsu thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe like, oh, I'm really glad that I decided to stop that and really focus on going to my Sunday work. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a big reason that I wanted to do the podcast in the first place. Number one, that we had this play one mindset that we think about. And number two, like, you get a health scare like that and you think you're not going to be around anymore. And then just being the type of person that I am, that I just continue to bottle things up. And we talked about this again in the last one. And I don't want to be that person that, like, why did I choose to not tell anyone for 3 months? Yeah. Because it's the habit and I do that all the time. Yeah. And it's, in hindsight, it's a bad idea, you know? Like, what,
but you know, and then you've grown from it by not doing it.
But that's, you know, but now that's happened and I'm aware and I'm like, all right, okay, it could be 2 years, it could be 80 years, I don't know. Yeah. But for while I'm here, why not get everything out? Just put it all out, put it out on the podcast. Yeah. Whoever I talk to, be more open with, just be happy to be vulnerable. It doesn't matter. Like,
and I tell you, a lot of people will be getting a lot out of just listening to what you've gone through. You know, whether they can remember something they've done similar and relate to you and what you're saying and make them feel more comfortable and go, you know, oh yeah, I felt that too. Yeah. Like, you know, what Josh has been saying or whatever. But also for yourself as well, being on the podcast and talking about it with a couple of mates, it's good for you as well. So doing things like this is just constantly all positive and all good, you know. That's
true. Well, the other thing is as well that because this is literally this type of tumour that I had in my leg, it's literally 1 in a million for Australia. So that means if you do the math, it means only 5 people a year would get this type of tumour. And I knew a girl, one of my friends, when she was 17, she had a very different tumour. She got off pretty easily because it wasn't in her bones. But it's like if I didn't know that one girl, I literally wouldn't have known anybody that's ever gone through this. Yeah. And I didn't know what to do. Luckily, she told me a little bit. Maybe you should go see this person, and I did. I went and seen that sort of certain surgeon. But I'm like, shit. What if someone else gets something similar or the same thing, and they don't know what to do about it, you know, because it's daunting, you know, like, I don't know what to do. I'm not a doctor. So, I mean, not that I'm a professional, but I mean, having gone through it firsthand, maybe if someone else hears it and they're like, all right, shit, what did he do? Come talk to me, you know, like, I'll do whatever I can.
You said you're not a professional about it, but then you also said there's only 5 people in Australia who get it. So there's only 5, you are professional in Australian standards at this.
1 in 5.
You've gone through.
Yeah, I'm a professional victim.
You know, you've got, but at least whatever the thought process that you're going through now, well, there's only 5 people who else can say, it's true, you know. So,
and now many more people, someone that listens to this may, I'm not saying we would want them to get it, but they may get it, or someone they know may have something similar, and they'll know, go check it out, go see what you can do about it. But,
fixed up, and you know, because yours got
see how you approach it.
We see them so now, so that's good for people to hear it too. So if they get, a melanoma or something. Oh yeah, that's right. You know, such and such Gizzy or whatever. He had he's gone through it too. I'm not a victim.
Normal,
it's just part of life. You know,
that's the thing. You got to treat things that happen as just part, because everyone here has things that people may know or may not know that has been difficult.
Yeah, and
you got to. It's about how you approach it. Yeah. Like sometimes it's good to not stress. Sometimes it's bad to not stress. You got to stress about some things, but overall, I'm not saying forget about things, but don't worry about it. You have to just take it as it comes and then move forward. Take it as it comes, and what can I do now?
How do I play that hand? How do I play that hand?
Yeah,
exactly.
That's it. How do I play that hand?
That's the only hand you've got.
There's no person that I know who, especially a go-getter, who hasn't been played many bad hands.
Yeah.
If you actually ask him and they'll tell you, you'd be like, "Oh man, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you had that. Oh, what?"
And the best thing is though that those people is that they get dealt those bad hands and then they figure out how to get through it and they learn from it. They reflect, and then some people like to talk about will develop principles like Ray Dalio, and then because of that they get better and better at handling those problems, so they encounter less and less of them, and then they just get to where they get to.
Because you can brush them off a lot quicker too. You know how to deal with them.
Yep, it's another one of those.
Yeah, that's true. But I think the biggest thing that I will take from this, among other things, is that, especially in 2020, I think I want to just get things, just make sure I'm all good. Just get my checkups. Don't worry about, apply the principle that health before wealth. You know, like if you're a bit worried about this or that on your body, just bite the bullet, go get it checked, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just worth doing.
Health before wealth is a great one to have.
Yeah, 100%. In every sense. I mean, you've got a shitty diet, you might want to look at that now, you know, because it doesn't take very long to
or you're sick sometimes and you're like really struggling with the virus and you're like, I'm going to push through and go to work. What's more worth it? Just kick back, relax, let yourself recover for one extra 2 days, get the body right, and then come back.
100%.
You can start to go into that same mentality with your training as well. Like, we can all write down our goals for the year and go, I'm going to train this and do this weight set, and I'm going to do yoga 15 times a week, and I'm going to do 8 sessions of jiu-jitsu, I'm going to do Muay Thai as well, and you write it all down on paper. And probably all three of us are on the table now. Actually, I know all three of us. If our bodies would let us, you'd do it.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't stop. I would just do it.
Non-stop.
And then your body can't. It's impossible. You know what I mean? So you've got to always make sure your body's right to do that training session. You know what I mean? If you have to back it off, you have to back it off, right?
Yeah.
So me now getting a little bit older, my way to hit this year's training is whatever the body feels ready for, but I'm going to train consistent, very, very, very consistent.
Yeah.
So I train today, Sunday. I'm going to do something when I get home tonight, and I'm going to be constantly training, but constantly making sure that my body feels right for tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's as me trying to be responsible too. So I've got energy for when I'm at work with jiu-jitsu coaching. So always thinking health of the body first. So I'm not going to be like, oh, my back's a bit tired now, it's going to do my max deadlift and just ignore it. That's not a smart way and have a wealthy body. It's going to have a hacked up body, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
So health first, even in your training, has to be.
So important. And that's something that you've passed on because those things you told me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would even forget them when I was like training everywhere else. And you learn the hard way. Yeah. You got to relax. You can't push through absolutely everything and train insane every single day and just non-stop. Then your body's beat up and you're crazy, but you still come in the morning and you...
It takes... I believe it takes more of a hard... more of a disciplined person to actually not train. Yeah. Because I enjoy training so much. You enjoy training so much. It takes more discipline now for me not to train, and to go, no, I'm going to do it tomorrow, because the ego in the back of my head will be like, oh, maybe those other black belts, they're training and I want to be good too, and I got to do it. But I'll do it then. But then the next day you'll pay, and then the next day you'll pay, and then the next day you'll really pay if you don't listen. So
and then it adds up, and then
you might even get your career cut short. That's now for me. Like, one of my biggest goals is to have my black belt students on the mat and be rolling with them still good. I don't want to be the Buddha in the corner just saying, oh, it's not bad. I was pretty hardcore, but now everything's busted and look the way I walk, you know? No, I don't want to. So you got to be more disciplined sometimes not to train.
And then you got to look after, like you look at LeBron James spending, I think it was $1.5 million on his body, on his health, just on the upkeep of the machine.
Massage and probably whatever else. You know?
And it's like, these people at the top, because they know where, this is so valuable to me.
Yeah,
I gotta get it looked after.
See, they can do it with all of the recovery stuff for that. So maybe you financially can't do it, or you don't have the time to do it. Sometimes it's just
rest.
You need the rest.
Yeah,
you know, you might not recover quite as quick as a cryotherapy and a float tank and all that.
Every 2 hours.
You're still going to recover, you know. And
even just your mind. You know, just recover your mind so you're good with other aspects of your life as well.
Yeah.
I realized that there was, aside from a day where I was, I think, super sick, I trained every single day for so damn long, and then it started to really add up late in 2019, and then I took a 7-day break, and I kept trying to do it, and I kept fucking it up. After like one day, I'd end up training, and then I'm like, nah, this week, doesn't matter what happens, I've got nothing coming up. For 7 days, I'm not going to train one single session. I just need to do it. And it was so good. It was so good. Because even taking that, because I would skip a morning session and then I'll come to a night session. And I'd even feel bad about skipping that. I'm like, I should have done something. And then I was like, my body just had so many little niggles all over the place from just training.
Niggles. Bro, you come with these words lately, it's the best.
My body had all these little niggles all over the fucking place.
I knew what he meant.
Yeah, and I was literally like, it was adding up. I could feel it in my training. It was affecting. Then it affects you mentally, because you don't want to have to drag yourself to training. You want to be able, like, fresh and be like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
And then I did those 7 days, and it helped. And I went and got a massage. I even did a cryotherapy session in those days. And I'm like, just going to treat myself, not train one time. And it was one of the best things I did all year.
And let's say the first week you come back, maybe you're a bit clunky.
Yeah.
But then the week after that,
you're sharp.
You're sharper.
The body's rested and ready.
Ready to go.
You just needed to catch up to the speed.
Yeah.
And then you're there.
Yeah, so it's like a little
so
step. Not even, it's not even, but if it's like a little step back and then boom, a big leap forward.
Yeah.
Because especially when you start to plateau, eventually you'll plateau and decline. You never plateau and go up unless you're changing something.
Yes.
So sometimes that change is just a break.
It's just a break. That's exactly what, because we talked about like the plateau I was having. I'm like, I made so much progress in like the first 6-7 months. And then it's like, it's good to get from one stage to another, but the better and better, the harder it is to get better and better in anything. Yeah. That's like when you say when you become a black belt is when you first realize, okay, now it's time to learn. And I was like, oh, what does it mean? And then I kind of figured, I was like, okay, that's exactly it. Like, you've got to get to the, like, it just gets harder and harder. So many more. So you got to start looking at the finer things, yoga, add different things in. And then one of them was just rest. And that rest helped, because then in that time, the mind was just still active. I'm just like, I want to do what I want to do.
You can always visualize when you rest. And you're big on that. I know you are, you know.
So
visualization's huge too with your improvement, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not like...
It's still training. It's a way of training without even touching anything.
Without
just
doing anything, for me, big, just repetitions in the mind sometimes as well. Or, you know, just visualize and even how to explain something when I'm like, I don't think I sleep full depth. I think I've always got something that I'm contemplating. That's and you know, I do a lot of training, I reckon, when I'm asleep, so I think about things all the time, come up with good ideas. And I believe when I'm half asleep, maybe that's because I'm relaxed and I'm not thinking about everything else, and maybe it's time for my mind to settle, and then I'm like, oh, that works, oh, that's good, you know, and boom, you know, mentally training. A lot when you're relaxing, you know.
That's probably a good habit as well. That's probably why you started writing as well. So when you get those good ideas, just get them down.
Get them down. You got to.
Yeah.
You know what?
Are good for that too.
On that, so that
planes are real good, man. 8 hours. A lot of the time, I try and avoid the movies and that for as long as I can until I'm about to go crazy. And in those
people's
times
productivity on planes is ridiculous.
Yeah, half asleep, half awake, maybe putting some funky tunes on. I have all these ideas on planes, man.
And you're like, oh.
And you know, because you're not gonna. When you wake up, when you're at home, I had a nap. Oh shit! I gotta wash the dishes before my wife gets home or whatever. you don't do that when you're on a plane. You wake up and you go, oh, I might as well relax some more. You know,
I've got nothing. It's forced.
There's
it's
nothing.
Forced.
I can't even get up unless I want to annoy this person beside me. So you're forced to just sit. And if you can avoid the screen on the front for as long as you can. You get some good data building in your brain.
It's so important. Meditation in that is like meditation, visualization, things that have been around forever. I knew meditation was. I didn't know visualization was. And then I read this book that you've read before, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I'm like, this guy's talking about the second habit is begin with the end in mind. And literally. And in terms of, I'm like, visualization here in another book. These are things that have been around for such a long time. Meditation. There's one anime I watch, One Piece. And there's a swordsman in there named Roronoa Zoro. And this guy is like a weapon. And one of his key things is that in his training, as a kid, he was forced to meditate and just sit in silence, and that allowed him to unlock so many things in his training. And I was like, damn, that's awesome. That's so good to have.
I reckon through the ages we must have relaxed and meditated a lot more. So even if, like, let's say, I don't know, the Vikings, they didn't meditate. We don't know that they sat and meditated with their legs crossed. You know what I mean? But I bet you they sat by a river and stared into the water for hours and then relaxed. Probably took a mushroom.
And that's when the guy would have probably thought, I can build a boat.
Yeah, exactly. And they went, oh, that timber floats. I wonder why it floats.
Yeah,
you know? Oh, it's getting blown by some wind.
Otherwise,
maybe I could build a little boat with a stick in it and put a leaf on it. It'll blow around.
And then, like you said, it might not be him that does it, but it starts that seed.
Yeah, but he might build that stick for his son, and then his son builds it a little bit bigger, and then the next generation.
Or because you just gave it time to sit,
relax.
Yeah,
it's so important. Like,
work at your own mind thing. Because I mean, we thought this a lot. Is that once you start having a lot of screen time, a lot of surroundings, a lot of noise that's happening, you start to begin to realize that most of your thoughts aren't even your own.
Nah,
you're just replaying.
Again,
jumping around.
Like, for example, this morning, you just wake up and you're not sure what time it is. I made a really conscious decision. I don't care what time it is. Just let me lay here. I laid there for like 2 hours straight.
Yeah.
And just conscious, I didn't want to check the time, nothing.
Yeah.
And I just started going through literally the first hour. Half the thoughts weren't mine. They were just memories of things I've seen.
What should I do? I need to be getting this done. I got to go do this at work. I got to do that. There's so many things
going over. But then I started to think, you got to just let the noise settle a bit, and then be like, all right, what is it that I really want to think about? What's something that is on my mind? Something I want to do. And I started thinking a bit more about the podcast. How
that's cool though. That's your art, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, whatever it is for you that works. I'm like, all right, the podcast, cool. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then after I just let myself go for literally 2 hours, I'm like, all right, it's time to get up. I get up, it's 5 a.m, and then I'm bang on the laptop doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
But I had that time to think about it. And then when I go and do that thing, I know what I'm doing. I just had a good think about it. Bang, I pick it up and I know what I'm doing straight away. I'm not procrastinating, I'm just bang.
It's about thinking slow, like I was mentioning to you, because my attention span is so short.
Just if you're not interested.
Exactly. Only time I'm really focused is if I'm in the gym training. But outside of that, it's so hard to focus on things. So I'm at home and I'm like, I remember I caught myself. So I had to get up and I'm like, I'm going to go put my laundry in the room into the wash. And then it took me forever because I picked up the laundry. As I start putting stuff into the basket, I'm seeing other things in my room. And then there's a book and I'm like, I read the blurb. I'm like, oh, as if I haven't read this book yet. I organize the bookshelf a bit. And then I'm like, what was I doing? Oh, the laundry. Okay. I put the shit back. I walk over and then I see some dishes in the kitchen. I'm like, I go to grab a water and I'm doing so many million things. Then I finally put them in the wash. And I still think this is normal. It's just like my normal way of walking around the house is. And I'm come back and I go to my room, open my phone and I just... I'm not even wasting time effectively. I'm like on Instagram for 2 seconds, then I was on Snapchat, then I was checking some news thing, and I was like just opening a new tab, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? This was a few months ago, and I was like, I'm just doing a bunch of random. Maybe mine was much more serious than most people's, but for me in particular, it was important for me to realize that. I was like, I just going in doing so many different things. I'm like,
just being reactive to life.
Just need to stop. And then I'll do that all day until it's like time to train, bang, get my shit, go train, finish, then come back and it's the same. And I was like, and that's why I would be able to do many things at once. People were like, wait, but then at the same time, it's why I'm not all the things doing it at once, I'm doing really well. It's like, to do them well, you need to have less things and you need to be able to focus and give those things time, and you need to do things a bit slower. Sometimes to do things slower, it's better than for me to just do a million things one after the other at once. It's like, okay, slow down. And try and get them done. Even thinking slower, and then in your actions, in your movements, just slightly slow it down. Ridiculous.
Sure. 100%. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've literally physically seen you evolve since you started doing jits. Is just everything. Sorry, not jits. Yoga. It's not just the way that your body has obviously changed. You're more flexible. You're less sore. Your posture's better. But just your thought patterns. You walk calmer. You talk calmer, slower. You're more clear with your thoughts because that transitions into everything you do.
You're right.
We said that, didn't we talk about that? We said because yoga and jiu-jitsu are two of the best things you can do, and you can do them almost forever. You can do it. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can do yoga forever. You can do jiu-jitsu forever because it's not going to it's only going to make you better. Your body's going to be better. Your mind's going to be clearer.
Yeah.
So you got so lucky that two of your passions just happen to be
intertwined pretty well.
Yeah. And you can do them forever, which is amazing.
Then you can go to
longevity is so much more important.
On top of the pyramid or something.
Yeah.
And they're all intertwined.
Imagine that.
Hey, what about this one? What about if you that Netflix movie where they can like store the person's essence into like a little disc? Yeah. So if we reach technology at a certain time in the next 20 years, 10 years, and you had the opportunity to do that, it was a bit expensive, but they're like, this is what's going to be able to happen. You are going to be in this thing, and we can put you in another sleeve. Maybe even a younger version of yourself or something. Would you do it?
Right now? Or you go like when I'm older?
Is there something, when you're older, would you do it? Like, let's say on your deathbed, they're like,
for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's so much more to experience.
So much more. Man.
And now you're way more well equipped because you have all the knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
And you could do bad with it, or you could do good with it.
Exactly.
And I think hopefully my character would do good with it.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely take it. Yeah.
Why not? I feel like we're going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
And why not?
Yeah, we might have that choice.
We may have that choice, potentially.
I don't know if we'll have that choice in our lifetime. We're definitely going to see a lot of crazy shit in our lifetime.
Things happen so quickly technology-wise. It's
but a lot of people are investing in it. Have you seen Steve Aoki's really involved in this?
Steve Aoki, the DJ?
Yeah, the DJ. He's really involved into... For one, he's on the waiting list to have his body frozen because that's the most primitive technology.
I was going to say he might freeze and then in 150 years from now, then they go, wake up, Sam. And
yeah. But then he's also actively...
Run amok.
But then also actively trying to find a better way to really make that altered carbon theory a real thing. To download your consciousness. Well, so is Elon Musk. He's doing something pretty similar that's going to... Oh man, it's just the craziest time to be alive.
Isn't it?
You think about
we're probably going to be able to go to the moon. Like, hey, after we compete in New York, do you want to go to the moon trip? Yeah, fuck yeah. We'll go
you guys visited yet?
Back to Melbourne.
They got that new space park over there. Go check it out.
You love roller coasters that much, don't you, Gizzy?
Oh, dude.
They got yoga there.
So we're going to see some cool shit. Imagine that. Yeah. And that is not completely wild thinking.
It's not is it?
At all out there.
Get a lot more wild than that.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the waiting list? They've got the prices up already for I think it's the Virgin Atlantic one.
To go to the moon?
Yeah, but it's a slingshot. There's another company that's doing a slingshot. So you got a slingshot. Yeah, you literally...
Which bloke thought of that?
It's like, it's crazy.
I'm going to get up there.
It's like a rocket / slingshot. So
it's a big elastic band.
It's not an elastic band sort of thing.
Got to go test this one today. Oh shit, we had a bird.
Just spitball someone.
We had a planet. But yeah, the rocket just launches you up. And you're in orbit for a couple of minutes, not very long, couple of minutes, and then you float back down. So you never reach outside of the stratosphere or atmosphere.
Atmosphere where you wouldn't be full weightlessness.
Yeah, you're not going to experience. Yeah, you won't experience 0G,
but you'll be seeing planets.
You'll definitely be in orbit, and you see some shit, and then you come back down. But even that's like $200,000. I mean, this is one of the first things that come.
Well, I can picture so many people that are so wealthy being like,
wealthy people. They'll make that in a couple of days or a day. Or
there are some soccer players that are on.
Some people could do an Instagram up there and then pays for it anyway.
Yeah,
true. That's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
That's another cool thing to think about. I want to learn a bit more about that. It's you know that whole concept of the guy who traded a paperclip for a house. How you one up it each time and you keep going. I want to get better at the skill of not so much trading, but of leveraging. So leveraging, instead of thinking, oh shit, I don't have $200,000 to go to the moon, but what do I have? Maybe I know something, or I know someone that knows someone I owe you a favor, and leverage my way to get that $200,000 experience instead of having to fork out $200K. Or even if I was better financially, to understand how to leverage debts and shit like that to like negative gear my way up to a trip like that. That'd be a pretty cool experience. Because I think a lot of the times you limit yourself because you're like, oh, I don't have the money for that.
I'm not one of those folk.
Yeah, exactly, Do you know what I mean? Like that little excuse. Because you do it all the time. You're like, oh, I don't even know how you do it. But this is small scale I'm talking, but all the time. I'm like, how'd you get in? I know the guy that he does the security work out there. Or one time I helped him in a bar. I choked a dude out for him and he let me in. So like random shit like that, you always tell me, like, what the fuck? How are you here sometimes?
It just happens, and a lot of the time is I'll try to do things because I want to build that muscle of just doing things that without limiting myself. Because how many experiences out there? So, like one time, what did I do? This one was just recent. There was a festival. I was driving, and I saw a festival, for the Latin Festival on Hoddle Street or Brunswick Street, somewhere in Collingwood. And it was just after training, and I was with Felicia. I was like, oh, can you record me? Because there's a big stage, and there's a band playing there, and there's like a whole bunch of people like dancing in the front of it. I'm like, can you record me? I'm gonna go on stage. I'm gonna dance a little bit. She's like, oh, how are you gonna go on stage? I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna walk onto it. And there's a barrier and whatnot. So I just gave her the phone to record, and then I put it up on my Instagram. Like, I just jumped over the barrier when no one was looking, and then when I went to the staircase and the lady's like, oh, where's your thing? I'm like, oh, like Gustavo has it. I just made it on Sunday. I'm like, oh, she's like, oh, okay, no problem. And I just stroll up on the stage, and then they all turn to look at me, and one is like mid singing, and I'm just like smiling, and then he just like starts laughing, and then I just dance for like 20 seconds, and I just jump off stage and go back again.
That's sick. But you could do that if you had the balls enough and flex that muscle enough. If you flex that muscle for 10 years of just saying yes to opportunities and going to do it and finding a way to go and do that thing, man, imagine what you'll come up with. Exactly. I think you get more creative with it. I mean, cause sometimes
and it makes things less daunting for you because that's to do many other things. It's like it's no big deal. It's like
I got through this.
Yeah.
I got through that. I got through that MMA amateur. I got through that jiu-jitsu. I got through that.
Yeah, they all affect
that leg issue.
Yeah, and then you get more creative with it because sometimes I think, how does Dan Bilzerian live, and how did he think about the way that he lives his life? Like, how did he get all that? How did he get it? How is it appropriate? How is he doing that? And I'm sure it started very small idea. Like, maybe I can hang out with some chicks.
Of course it did.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Of course it's hang out.
Hang out with some chicks, take some photos, put it up.
How can I get a bit of money? How can I do this? Maybe I should, I like weed. Maybe it's getting legal. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can start my own
someone's paying for this photo. Oh, okay, I can make some money here. Do that for a bit. Then on to the next thing.
And then you get more creative. Once the whole reason that Limitless exists because you thought of the idea, you weren't sure if it could work. Someone said yes, so you tried it, and then you're like, oh, I actually can.
Then you realize it's a bunch of steps.
And like, obviously, you created everything that's in here now.
Yeah.
And then being here for 4 years.
Yeah.
If you see the new facility, which is going to open up in a few months.
Yeah.
You got more creative because you did this, and you're like, I can do this.
And you learn from stepping out and being creative. You obviously make mistakes, and you learn from them, and then it just builds it again and again. Yeah. But if you didn't get creative, if you didn't get that passion, if you didn't do any of this, you're never going to grow as a person.
Yeah.
Your life may be a little bit boring, and and that's when you get sick too. Because you're not, internally happy.
Yeah.
You're
how crazy is that?
Happy person.
Things
get bad. You look old, young, and everything's wrong. And then the problem of masking things up with drugs is generally the easiest option. Have some drugs, you feel okay, well, do it again.
Then people build the cycle of going out all the time. And
exactly.
It's like, that's it at the end of the week. Oh, what a shit week.
As long as I get through this,
got my Friday night.
Party with the boys, the girls, or whatever.
It's just like...
That's a real bad way to live.
And it's not that there's anything wrong with, like you said, with the partying. It's the mindset of it. Don't think of it as all right, all the hard, annoying stuff is done, now we party. No. It should be a reward for something, exactly. A celebration of something.
Party because I'm a happy person, I've done a lot, and the people I'm with are really cool. But some people just party to escape. That's a problem.
Yeah. I always think about, that quote or that saying where they say that the devil doesn't come dressed in horns and a cape, it comes dressed as everything you ever wished for. So if you think about it like, what really is
like
the
a
devil?
Wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like that. So is the devil really this big one evil incident, catastrophic thing that happens? No, it's probably the small little habits you said yes to that sounded like a really good idea, and then 10 years down the track you're like, fuck, that was the devil. I didn't know that trying drugs that early and one thing led to another and not seeing, and then 10 years you're like, that was the devil, and I said yes to it because it was so enticing.
And then there's the thing is, there's a consequence to every action. Now it doesn't mean that you've got this one consequence, your life's over, you can change and whatnot, but there's a consequence to every action, and it's not like, oh, I'm gonna do that, it's no big deal, whatever, because 20-30 years later you'll find yourself in a certain position and you might be like, I wish I'd done things a bit differently back then, it didn't look that hard. It wasn't that hard to continue to work and not to try and pursue something. It's harder to pursue something than it is to, it's easy to just, especially if you're making a little bit of cash, sit back and just do that same old thing until it's over and over and over. Then
and it's safe.
It's safe.
You feel easy. There's no nervous. There's no worry about it.
But another one of those gems is that nothing worth having will come easy. Nothing worth having will come easy.
Nothing.
And something that comes easy isn't worth having.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because if it comes easy, why do you need to have it right now? You can get it tomorrow. It's that easy. Anything that's worthwhile, it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to be a bit of risk, a bit of struggle, but you got to shoot for it because it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth having. But
it all starts on. I think I'm really glad that you came on and said it. I think it's the best thing. you gotta. All these it sounds great
Vision.
once you start applying it and thinking about it, but you gotta have that vision from the start. Know what you're working with. First know yourself. Get comfortable with your own thoughts.
Yeah.
Know yourself. Know what it is that you want, and then start from there.
I think as well for me, because I thought internally my visions were so outrageous, I didn't talk about it to anyone until I was quite clear on what I wanted, and then I made sure who I talked about it to, it was people who I trust and think that they're going to help me enjoy and see the vision with me. But you can get horribly misdirected by someone who you think's your friend, and they say to you, "That's a stupid idea," and all of a sudden that ideal you're working on was just
Protect your vision. Protect your vision.
Yeah. And make sure it's pretty clear before you start telling. Once you're super clear with it, you can tell anyone, and if they don't agree with it, you can just sort of wipe them off. But you've got to be careful who you tell if you're working on a vision until you're clear with it, you know.
You told me that in the States. I remember when you said, I don't know if you were giving me advice, or maybe like I was talking about my but you're like, look, sometimes it's better to set that big goal and then just get it. And then I realized what that meant on my own later on. I was like, oh, okay, not everything has to be exposed. You might want to, let's say you have a goal or something, you'd be like, oh, let me tell people so that they can hold me accountable. No. There's more power within. You don't have to tell someone, I'm going to do this every single day. I'm doing 500 sessions.
So I'm accountable. You're already doubting yourself.
Exactly.
You've already decided that you're probably not going to be able to make it.
You can't do it on your own. You need someone else.
Yeah.
It's like, no. You have to just, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with explaining your goals and putting things out there.
Yeah.
But it's much more realistic and much more solid when it's within you.
Yeah.
You just have it and you work at it.
Yeah.
And then you get to it.
Damn. I actually think about it right now. I remember when we first started Tiki, and I think I quit all my jobs as well.
Yeah.
And I was just doing Tiki. And then I remember my dad, I think I wasn't paying board at the time or whatever. And then my dad was like, just get a job. That's just what you do. You know, like, that's just the way it is. You just get a job. You don't have to love it. Work is work, sort of thing. And obviously, because he was thinking, a bit more
safety for you.
Yeah, a bit more safety for everything, for everyone. I mean, I get it. And I guess he was probably just looking out for me or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the decision, like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just one of those things. It's not always going to be a very safe thing to do, but that's fine. It's okay, like. And the same thing about protecting your vision.
Yeah.
I thought telling my dad would be a good idea, but like he was just like,
I've
that's not a good idea,
experienced the same thing.
And it's really a hard one because you're like, you're the same as well. Like your parents did the same thing.
The whole time.
And then
I hate
with
fun,
my
these
all of
competitions. You've already had so many injuries from motorbikes.
Yeah.
What are you doing to your body? Blah blah blah. Look at your ears. What is all this about?
It's coming from a good place.
Yeah.
It's well intended.
Place. Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not necessarily beneficial, and it's not what you need. So that's why it's like, okay, why do I need to put it out there and risk having it attacked from different angles?
Yeah.
Let me just keep it to myself and work away at it, and then just get it.
It's sort of exciting too, though, I reckon, to have that in a movie playing in my head, not with everyone's perspective. But this is what I'm doing, and
it's like your little, what's coming. Yeah.
And it's nice. It's good. It's a good little feeling to have when you've got that clear vision, and you can sort of sit back and go, I know what I'm doing, and I know what I want, and I'm not getting really influenced by anyone else, and I'm not going to allow anyone to influence me unless I want to be influenced or guided by someone close to me who I really
then open up.
And then open up to them,
Yeah.
So just design your life and you do it.
And then it just happens. Yeah. Like, we can probably end it on that. It just starts to happen. But we've all realized it. Like, it just starts to happen. You just do the thing.
It does, man.
And believe in yourself. And then before you know it, you're like, wow, I can be whoever I want to be. I can be a world champion. I can have my own gym.
Yeah.
I can go and travel the world and live my life on my own terms.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if you look back,
incredible.
Let's look at that door behind me where the entrance to Limitless, and think about the Sem and the Josh that walked in 4 years ago and what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Imagine if we did a frame shot and it's me, and I'm like, oh shit, I grew a beard, and we're all looking at us right now, looking up there, and they're seeing you 16 years old wearing your Gumby green rashi, your afro haircut, and Gizzy, you were wearing a high vis and you had like long
and
hair.
A ponytail.
Oh, yeah.
And you wanted to drive in a car.
It was a pathetic one. One of the ones that doesn't grow long. It doesn't grow full ponytail, but you just had it up there for the bun. I almost like, fuck it, it's a bun.
No man buns were allowed to travel, but you cut it off.
Nah, it did kind of suit you.
That's 4.
But I love most
right?
of it. That's
so with another 4.
Yeah.
8. Then 12. And then we're not dead in 12 years from now. I'll still be in my 40s,
Yeah, damn.
Like,
exactly.
And that's another,
we'll be 30s, you'll be 40. Yeah, exactly.
You might be wearing your belt.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
Cool, Ali. Let's do the podcast then.
Put it out. That's it. That's happening.
That was sick. I'm glad you caught us red-handed.
Yeah. By the way, for those who don't know, the way me and Josh just rocked up to do this podcast, sneak in while Troy's in Japan or Vietnam.
And come back to check on the beer.
Troy just opens the door and we're just both sitting there. We're like, do you want to jump on the podcast?
The Josh and Sem experience was here.
The classic.
That's awesome.
All right.
We'll see
Hope you got something
week.
out of that, and we'll catch you next
Thanks,
week.
guys.
Adios.
See ya.
Bye.